Hey guys, I wanted to make a video about, do you really believe in Jesus Christ? Do you really believe or trust Jesus Christ for your righteousness? Or do you believe the gospel? This is something that, it seems kind of simple on the surface, but a lot of people say that they believe in Christ and say that it's by Christ alone that they're saved. It's by His finished work on the cross, and by believing in Him, you are sealed, you are forgiven, you are saved. But then they'll turn around and say something else that makes it out to be, well, no, you have to go and perform or do something or maintain something to keep your salvation. You have to do something in order basically to earn it. It's double speak, and it's really just it's error. And I don't want to get into where this came from or who's saying these things, but we've all probably had these thoughts, and we've all heard other people say them. And I wanted to go back to Abraham and show you through the old Abrahamic covenant, which is actually is the same type of covenant that we have today through Jesus Christ, and show you how that's not the case. It's not based on your works, because it wasn't that way in the beginning. See, the covenant that we have now with Jesus Christ is actually the old covenant, not the old covenant as in the law, but the even older covenant that Abraham had, where Abraham believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. And that's Genesis 15, verse 6. This is in the New International Version. It basically says the same thing as every other translation. The reason I have it up here is it was already the translation that I had when I pulled this up. You can go switch it. I didn't feel like switching it because it basically says the same thing. This is one place where the NIV does a fine job. But the reason I wanted to pull this up is because it's the same type of covenant that we have today. It's not based on deeds or us where we have broken the law or where we have kept the law, but based on what or who we believe in, who we trust in, based on His righteousness, not our works of the law. But you have many people, like I said, that will double speak, will say these things, but then they'll turn around and say, well, no, if you do this, you're not saved. If you do that, you're not saved. And I wanted to show through some of these other verses about Abraham to show you that that's not the truth, and how God treats us now, because He treats us in the same way. We have the same type of relationship that Abraham had. And before I get into that and show these two different accounts and how all this ties up, how these three places, these three chapters tie together, I wanted to talk about a parable or an analogy and kind of show you what I'm speaking of here. And I'd heard this before from a pastor, and I forget who it was. It doesn't matter, but it was a story he was telling about two different women. Both of them got saved. Both of these women got saved, went up to the altar, said that they believed in Christ, wanted to be saved, wanted to be baptized, and they went and they did all these things, and everybody believed they were saved. Okay, the first woman, about 2 weeks later, went and got in a car wreck and died. The pastor, everybody mourned a little bit. The pastor come up and asked his congregation, be like, I know she just got saved, but how many of you believe she went to heaven? I believe she went to heaven. And everybody raised their hand, because even though she just got saved, everybody's witnessed her. Everybody's seen it, and it's not based on people seeing us, but everybody believed that she was saved. Okay, the second woman, though, she went out and had an affair, and then the man's wife that she had an affair with came, took a gun and shot her and killed her, and she died. And this was a week after the other woman, and the preacher came back up, and everybody was kind of sad about this whole situation. He goes, how many of you believe that she went to heaven? And not very many people raised their hand. And this is the whole point that the pastor was trying to make, is that right here, this is works-based salvation. We believe that not all of us, but some of us, and I have in the past, that this woman right here that committed adultery was a worse sinner than the other one. We believe that one actually did there barred her from heaven, and her faith in Christ didn't matter. That either her faith in Christ was a lie, or that she just lost her salvation because she committed that sin. Either way, that's both error and it's both wrong, and I'm about to prove that to you. But that's what a lot of us have been raised and taught and brought up on, and it's just error. That's really all you can say. It's a lie. And I wanted to show you, though, that God's forgiveness and salvation works for past sins and future sins, and it doesn't matter. He's not judging you anymore. See, our sin doesn't condemn us, because when the Lord looks down on us, He doesn't see us. He's not judging us based on what we've done, right or wrong, but He's judging us based on His Son. And it's the same type of covenant that Abraham had. And now I'm going to get into this. So this is Genesis 12. And before I get into Genesis 12, I want to point out something to you, that this, where Abraham believed the Lord and he credited it to him as righteousness, this is Genesis 15:6. So this is Genesis 12:10. And so this was, before Abraham was, declared righteous. And this was when Abraham went down to Egypt, and I'll just read some of this to you and explain. Okay, so this is Genesis 12:10. And now there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to live there for a while, because of the famine was severe. And as he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarah, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, that I will treat you well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." Which, through all accounts, Sarah was a beautiful woman, and the Pharaoh of Egypt even wanted Sarah. So as we see, the Pharaoh of Egypt came and got Sarah, and this is what happened. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abraham's wife Sarah. So the Pharaoh summoned Abraham. And he said to him, "What have you done?" He said, "Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she was my sister, so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here's your wife. Take her, go." Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abraham to his men, and they sent him away with his wife and everything he had. And I believe it goes on to say that Abraham even had to pray for him to be healed because of the serious disease that was inflicted on Pharaoh. But the point I wanted to make is that Pharaoh had there was an adulterous relationship there. And some people say, well, Abraham's wife didn't actually have the relationship with Pharaoh. It doesn't matter, because Pharaoh wanted to, so it already happened. I mean, maybe Sarah didn't have it with him. That's besides. The point is because Pharaoh lusted after her, it still is the same. But that's besides the point. The point I wanted to make here, though, is this was before Abraham was credited as righteous by God. But we see the favor that the Lord has. The Lord had already had favor on Abraham. He already said that, gave him some promises before and said, "Go from your country," he'd already talked to him, and he already said he would bless him. This was right after he said he would bless him too. And he went and did this, and he still had fear even after. This is one thing. It's like, we expect people that when they get saved, for them to be perfect, for them not to fear anymore, for them not to go through the same things that happened in the past. So right here we see that Abraham still had fear of people. All right, I'm going to move on. And this is Genesis 20. And this is Abimelech. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. This is basically the same thing happened, where Abraham said to this is Genesis 20:11. Abraham replied, "I said to myself, there's surely no fear of God in this place. They will kill me because of my wife, because she is really my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother. And she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, 'This is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere you go, say of me, he is my brother.'" So it's the same thing that happened, where she was going around saying that, well, this is my brother, this isn't my husband, not telling people wanting to take Sarah because she was beautiful, and then having to later on go and actually tell the truth, and people having to be prayed for to be healed and repay and all, basically he should have just been honest to begin with. He was fearful of men and should have been honest, and he basically lied and had Sarah lie for him. And this, I wanted to point this out because this is the same thing that happened in Genesis 12, the same type of sin, the same type of event. But yet, one was before he was declared righteous, one was after, and this did not discredit him from any of the rewards that God gave him. We see that Jesus said that Abraham is, God is the God of the living when he was speaking of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we know Abraham is living with God at the moment that I speak. So it didn't bar him from heaven. He could go and make mistakes, and even when he made mistakes, he punished the people that, he punished others and not Abraham. And that's the kind of relationship we have now. And this isn't an encouragement to go sin because he's not going to punish you for sin. He's going to punish other people. No, he might not punish you for sin, but you still give place for the devil, and there's still consequences to sin. So bad things can still happen if you go out and sin. It's just that we're not under the same punishment that Israel was during the time of the law. I mean, the law has been completed, and when the Lord looks at us, he sees Christ. When the Father looks at us, he sees the Lord Christ. Jesus is what I mean. Sorry. I was starting to think of something else. Anyway, the point is we are not judged based on our keeping of the law or our doing of the law or our good or our bad deeds, but by our faith in God. And I think this is a great, couple of verses to show you the sin that happened before he was declared righteous in Genesis 12, and then the sin that happened after he was declared righteous in Genesis 20, to show you that it didn't change anything. The Lord stayed the same. The Lord kept his word, and he will keep his word in your life too. You just have to believe him. And so when people say that, well, you can go lose your salvation, or that you weren't saved to begin with, no. Abraham, even after he was saved and declared righteous, still struggled with the same things. It just takes time. Let the Lord come. And you have to remember, Abraham was 77 years old when all of this had happened. He wasn't a spring chick. He wasn't a newborn. He wasn't a teenager. This was really late in his life. So we have to understand that we are all imperfect. It's not based on us. It's not based on anything that we have done. It's based on the kindness and the mercy of God. And when we start to realize it's not based on us, and it's not, it's all just the kindness of God, then we can truly start to love ourselves and love others. When we realize how much God loves us and forgives us, it helps us to go and forgive others and forgive ourselves. And then these things that do weigh us down, these sins that do so easily entangle us, fall off. They become almost a cakewalk when you realize that they don't have the power to keep you, to drag you into the pit of hell. When you realize that even when you do make a mistake, that's not condemning you, it's not sending you to hell because it's not based on your actions, then it gives you that power and that will and want not to do it, not out of fear, but out of love. And that's basically the gospel in a nutshell. And I wanted to make this video. I actually just made this video, and then my microphone, for some reason, stopped working in the middle of it, so I had to redo it. So I hope this came out well. All right, guys, that's about all I wanted to talk about. I hope this helps someone. And just don't judge yourself. Let the Lord come, and he'll take care of it all. If you just trust in the Lord, he'll take care of it. And these things and all these problems that you have will be taken care of if you stop just thinking that you have to do something. Because everything that needs to be done will be done by God, or already has been done by God. Just trust in him. All right, guys. God bless and take care.